Jane.
Ellen.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
응답하라 Yeochin. Go to the into the she.
Back to the count to the June. Hey. Woo, Jane.
Yes.
I have to get you caught up on celebrity news.
Yes.
The biggest trial of 2025. Well, celebrity trial.
Yeah. When was the Johnny Depp trial? Was that 2023 or 4?
I want to say 2023.
Okay, I think so too.
So it's
been a while. It's been a minute.
Gosh, and I wasn't even that invested in that one. Were you?
I was not until several of my friends were. And then they were watching like the live TikToks and stuff. So yeah, and some of the TikTok discourse was getting me into it. But it's similar to what we want to talk about today.
Yes.
Very much like he said, she said.
Right.
Yeah.
The biggest celebrity battle that is going to be happening in 2025, I think, will be Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. And they are both geared up to go to court because they both have sued each other. Well, technically, Baldoni sued New York Times. And now Blake Lively has come back with an actual lawsuit towards Baldoni. Anyways, you haven't been really following, have you?
No, not really. I mean, I didn't even watch the movie.
I also did not watch the movie It Ends With Us because I cannot stand Blake Lively.
Was this true prior to the movie?
I started this. One, I did love her in Gossip Girls.
Oh.
But I think she was only good in that role because she is that girl.
Okay.
And I love the show, Gossip Girl. So I did watch that in real time back then.
Wow. Okay.
Did you not watch it?
No. I probably watched a couple of episodes, but yeah, it was not in my big TV era. I don't watch a lot of American TV.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So the reason I watched it kind of reminded me like the whole, like it was the closest I felt that an American like drama came to like almost like K-drama. It kind of like that Boys Over Flowers vibe-ish.
Yeah, there was that vibe.
I don't know what, I think it's my teen, I told you that I have a thing for.
The outfits were good, like the fashion I thought was good.
The fashion,
yeah.
They're beautiful. But also like I have a little soft spot for the teen year stuff because I never got to have my teen year thing. Anyways, I watched Gossip Girl in real time. I liked her in that show.
Okay.
But anything else, I just think she's a terrible actress. Just flat out, not a good actress.
She wasn't really in my consciousness, but like, I mean, that's what I know her from. What other big things has she
so there was, the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, which I hated that movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's such a fucking lie.
She was in that.
Yeah, I know, exactly. She's forgettable in that movie.
Yeah.
She really is the most forgettable character
in
that movie because she's like the one that's hot and, the blonde. And the other ones are like nerdy and the bigger girl and then the like feisty one, anyways.
Yeah.
Didn't care for that movie. There was this movie where they said that was her best acting, or it was with Ben Affleck where she played kind of like a prostitute.
Okay.
And I didn't buy it for 1 second.
Oh, really?
I was like, her? Like, she just looked too pristine to be like, I'm like, I didn't think she was good acting.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't think she's a good actress.
Okay.
And then on top of that, she got together with Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
And I cannot stand Ryan Reynolds. So two people that I really, basically, I feel like, I didn't mind him, but then he got annoying. You know what I mean? He just,
I haven't watched enough
too
stuff
much
of him to get annoyed by him. I did like him, in the same sense that I like.
There was a time where people would say he was like the hottest man alive, whatever. But I think he leaned into the whole like Deadpool character in real life too much. And he's always trying to be snarky and smart-assy. And I'm just like, I'm so tired. Like, please stop talking. Like, okay, self-deprecating humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got to be too much. He doesn't feel like, they both don't feel like real people anymore. That's why. So, in general, not a fan of Blake Lively. But in the midst of all just very superficial things of not liking her, there came real things that I started to despise about her. She got married on a plantation. I don't know if you knew that. Like
I did not.
Because she wanted this whole Southern Belle.
Like in the South.
Yeah. And I saw a funny TikTok about this where they had to make an apology, her and Ryan Reynolds, like, that they didn't know. I'm like,
they didn't
how do you
know?
It looks like a fucking plantation.
Yeah.
What the fuck you mean you didn't know? Like, if you imagine a plantation in your head, that's what would come up. So they got a lot of backlash. But the idea, there's no way you didn't know. They like literally say this is like this place has history.
Oh, yeah, because they probably pride themselves on
you have all the fucking money in the world.
Been around.
Yeah. It has
legacy.
It has history. Yeah. Like, and where are you? Come on.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. The fact that you know that and you have all the money in the world and you could get married, you could get a fucking married in a castle in Italy, right? But you choose instead on a plantation. Also, I just think that what's supposed to be like a joyous ceremony, do you really want to do that at a place where that like dehumanize people and there's probably blood on the soil?
They don't see it that way.
That's crazy to me.
It is crazy, but they don't.
I would be scared of like the ghosts haunting me. Like, you know? I don't know if you heard this. Back when the movie Little Mermaid, the live action came out and it was going to be a black mermaid and people like lost their minds over it. I don't know if you saw this TikTok where somebody was like, how is it so crazy to y'all that there could be a black mermaid when think about all the slaves they threw over the sea? Isn't that dark?
That is very dark.
But at the same time, like, hello. Anyways, that makes more sense to me than any other mermaid conception. Anywho, so there's a plantation, and once I found that out, I got such a ugh on both of them, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Then to follow that up, she wanted to have a lifestyle blog, which like kind of like Gwyneth Paltrow's
like
Goop.
However,
hers was like antebellum based.
No. How did I miss this?
Yeah. So
when did that happen?
Shortly after she got married.
Okay. So she was famous and A-lister by then.
And she wanted to create the Southern like style. Oh, it was so much.
I mean, Reese Witherspoon did that.
Did she?
Not in that way, but her clothing line, right?
Well,
Draper
so
James,
she was trying to get in.
Very Southern Belle kind of aesthetic.
Okay.
Very feminine and yeah.
Well, I think Blake Lively's imagery tied with the plantation wedding that wasn't that far off ago really just was too much. And so she shut it down.
Okay.
So, but people don't forget.
That's really far-fetched for her to say she had no idea.
Right.
That it was a plantation when she
exactly.
Clearly she likes that aesthetic, that bygone era and somehow romanticizing.
You can't recognize some people would not be fond of that era. You know? Like, come on.
Yeah.
So she has all that history. I personally cannot watch anything she's in. This was before anything with Baldoni. Like, I just don't care for her as an actress. I don't think she's a good one. I don't like to see her in stuff. Just in general. So when that movie It Ends With Us was talked about, I had no interest in it. Also, it's based on Colleen Hoover's books, which I heard. I haven't read any of her books.
Neither have I.
And I have no desire to, right? I saw some excerpts from that book and I was like, there was somebody was mistaking, I don't know, something with like, do you want sushi or chow mein? It was just like, it wasn't even.
Which would never, if you ever go to a restaurant that has sushi and chow mein on
like
the menu, run away.
That line. It was like very Panda Express, like what?
Yeah.
So zero interest in any of that. However, when this it became a thing on TikTok, surprisingly, I think that's what's fascinating about it. When I first heard about this beef between Justin Baldoni, the director and main character in the movie, with Blake Lively, people were speculating. It was sort of like a conspiracy theory almost. Like, why is Blake Lively with the full cast of the movie at the premiere, but Justin Baldoni is like off to the side completely by himself? And that's where like, is it weird? They're not talking to each other in any. They're not doing a single interview together. Justin Baldoni is always off by himself, and she's got the full cast with her. It was very like, is she mean girling? That's where it started, Jade. So that's where all the talk got started, and it became weirder because Blake Lively was like, "Go get your florals and watch this movie and buy my hair product."
Right.
Oh, so you do know that?
Yes, I did know that.
And people were like, isn't this a domestic violence movie? And meanwhile, you have Justin Baldoni, the director, also main character, saying, this is a movie near and dear to my heart. It's about telling the story of domestic violence. And I hope that it can strengthen survivors. That kind of messaging. So it was like you have these two totally different messaging going on. And now it's adding more fuel to the fire that there really is a rift between these two. And once the movie started going out and playing, I still could not fathom the idea of watching it. Just like, it reminded me of worse. Well, kind of like that Twilight kind of cheesy acting, or that's what I was afraid I would see. So I just didn't even want to get into it.
I think the reason why I had no interest was because I saw some of that discourse online, and it just killed any curiosity that I had about it.
So it killed your vibe.
I don't think I would enjoy it because I'd just be thinking about all of this stuff.
Interesting, because I thought people would be like, ooh, I want to see what.
I think that was that probably was a big driving factor. Yeah, but for me, I was like, I don't need to.
Yeah, so
watch it.
So actually, you were more right, because I recently read that the box office projections for this movie were higher, and it underdelivered. Which I found surprising. I was like, really? You thought this kind of movie would have high
I thought it would drive people to go see
even without the drama. I'm like, I don't really see Blake Lively as the driving force. Like, people being, it's not like Reese Witherspoon, Legally Blonde. Like, she never had an established like movie pattern.
Yes.
To be that kind of driving in sales.
Right.
So I was surprised that there was, I thought maybe that, they had humble projections and they, with all this gossip, maybe could turn it up. But no, you were more in the right. People were kind of like, I don't even want to see it. Anyways, the movie came out, they got through it, and I thought we had all moved on. But then Blake Lively came out with a complaint.
Yes. And this was several months after the fact. So
I
thought it was dead too. It
was supposed to be dead. And I think this is why I'm thinking that it's more petty. Because she waited till the movie collected as much as it could opening weeks in theater. Like, it wasn't going to interrupt the theater box office. And then it's been streaming for a hot minute. So now that the dust has settled, now she wants
now she's coming out.
Yeah, like,
impact.
Okay, now let me take care of you.
Right. So prior to that, we should mention that there was a lot of, while the movie was premiering and being shown in theaters, basically we saw kind of her whatchamacallit, like social media clout, or there was a lot of chatter, and a lot of people were kind of just turned off by her, right? Because of all these things that came out, rumors about like the drama between her and Justin Baldoni. And also there were like clips, right? Because I remember the video that I said, oh, okay, that's not, I'm generally not super invested in celebrities.
Right.
But
even you became aware of it.
I was aware of it, and the video that did it for me was the one that was several years old.
Yeah.
With
Parker
an
Posey?
entertainment, was it Parker Posey? An entertainment reporter, maybe it was entertainment reporter interviewing them.
Yeah, together, right?
And they just seemed so disengaged.
Yes, and she was so
rude,
dismissive
and rude.
Yeah.
The interviewer made a comment about, I like your little bump.
Yeah.
Right? And then Blake quips back, I like your little bump.
It was so gross. Like, that really...
And I will say, I've seen other interviews with that reporter, and I think she doesn't ask smart questions.
Right. She's not great.
Yeah. Given all of that, I was like, that was just weird. You know, maybe it was taken out of context, but I was like, it gave me the ick.
Yeah. So people really... You're right. It built up. There was... But it became a lot of TikTokers talking about, did you notice the rift? And then it became people jumping on the trend.
Of like all the little clips and evidence that she's a mean girl, she's this, she's that. Which
history
also gave me ick.
Yeah. Her history with fellow Gossip Girl cast.
Right.
That there was no getting along.
Right.
And then people coming out with their personal stories of like kindness and extra time given by Justin Baldoni whenever a fan met him. And it seemed very, and I think it was very genuine. People that have worked with Baldoni were coming out and like, hey, I've worked with this guy on this movie and that movie. He is motivated to make movies that inspire people, that tell stories of struggles that he wants to represent, which really also pitted against someone who was trying to promote her hair product line alongside a domestic violence movie seemed really out of touch, right? So it amplified their differences and really did a number on Blake Lively's image, which I will have to say, I don't think it was that good to begin with. And then this really drove it to the ground, buried her. Now, did you hear my stomach?
Yeah, I was like, was that mine or yours? Oh, here's like quick tangent. When I think of her, when I think of Blake Lively, in recent years, I think of like her Met Gala. Like, she was touted as being the last word in style and
that's so funny. Fashion. What did she wear?
She always I remember seeing videos and pictures that she's always coordinating with like her surroundings. Like, for example, the Met Gala carpet. And she always has like big reveal costumes.
Really?
Do you remember
do not know a
Okay.
single what was the outfit that she was in?
It was like a gown that kind of like transformed.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't
I remember that on at least a couple of occasions. But,
so that's funny that you mentioned that, because one of the things that they clashed on is that she sees herself as the ultimate fashion icon guru, and she wanted her character to be wearing a beanie, which she claims is sexy, right? And that was one of the big battles that she had with Justin Baldoni. Like, I declare this is what women find sexy, a beanie. I was like, I don't think I've ever worn a beanie and thought I look
in a sexy way.
I was like, I'm having a bad hair day, so let me put a beanie.
We're in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it's like
necessary.
It's a functional wear. And then it's so funny you said the Met Gala thing, because I don't even recall her outfit, but I recently saw somebody dissecting that whole commentary. Like, she thinks she's a fashion icon, and it was her. It showed her at the Taylor Swift watching the, I think, was it 49ers? And she's and J-Lo, like, whole, like, Jenny from the Block vibes.
Okay.
With crimped hair. Jane her eyes just look like it popped out of her face. Big ass hoops. Cropped tee with the tracksuit. It looked so. And then Taylor Swift was in this like black mesh. It looked so out of place, which is funny because you're saying that she is all about making herself look like. It looks so tacky.
But you know that there are certain celebrities that you think that I think get a really favorable treatment in the media.
Right.
And she strikes me as one of those, or struck me as one of those prior to this takedown. It almost like inflating, you know, her merit, or, you know, because I was like, I don't. Yeah, like I don't really.
She was, I believe,
but
like kind of like America's sweetheart.
Yes,
kind of thing.
America's sweetheart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think she was trying to ride off that wave.
And it was her coupling with Ryan Reynolds, too.
Right. And at the peak of when he was likable, yeah, I think I also felt when I didn't care for her that I was more on the outskirts. Not like that there's this wave of hate for Blake Lively. In the beginning, it was just like, she kind of gives me the ick.
Yeah.
But, and a lot of this, I mean, we talk about it, but I don't think as many people know about the whole plantation wedding. Did you know before I told you?
I didn't know.
See, people didn't know. But I knew those little extra nuggets, and that's more like I felt...
Maybe they had a great PR team to kind of
they shut it down pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to know those little ins and outs. And then, so this, then she came out with the lawsuit. Now, but the lawsuit, it's a complaint, isn't it, by Blake Lively. It's not technically a lawsuit. And there was a lawyer dissecting all this, saying when someone does a complaint, it's just a PR move because it's not really supposed to go to the courts, and it's just to let the public know.
Public opinion, which sometimes can be even more effective. But it's a very slick PR move.
Now, and then people started going, oh, well, now we hear Blake Lively's side of the story, and it's not adding up. The funny thing was, when I heard her side of the story, quote unquote, I was like, really? You think this is bad?
Like, what's the TLDR?
So one of the complaints that she had was that Justin Baldoni did not have enough boundaries in the professional working atmosphere. And he would say really out-of-pocket things like he can speak to her dead father, who I guess recently passed, right? Now, if you don't know too much about Justin Baldoni, and someone said that, I can totally see that being like, oh, that's fucked up. However, if you kind of follow, I didn't really, but I did look into him after this sort of kind of became the talking point. He's a very spiritual guy. He's all about like talking about feelings. He's not a typical guy, in my opinion. He's very emotional. He talks about connecting with his spiritual side. So I can see this conversation being manipulated into like, if he came to her and said, I understand your grief. You know, I've lost people near and dear to my heart, and I talk to them to find solace. Like, I hope I can see that going and her switching the narrative. Like, the first thought in my mind was like, that's such an out of context thing to even, you know, out of all the things you could say that made you uncomfortable in the workplace, it's already a little bit out there, right? But if you look into the kind of person that he is, he's very like one of those meditative talking people. So that's what went through my head. The other thing was he would pop into her trailers while she was in a state of undress. Like, okay, why are you in a state of undress? Because she's pumping. And I was like, wait, so you mean to tell me that he just opens doors abruptly without knocking? Like, that doesn't seem like basic human behavior, right? Well, now his complaint or lawsuit that's come toward New York Times that published that story shows a text where he says, hey, we need to run lines. When can I see you next? Blake Lively says, why don't you come? I'm pumping in my trailer. That is an invite.
Yeah, that's an invite. Right.
I'm pumping. Why don't you come? That shows you're fine with it. But in the previous complaint that she filed, she showed screenshots of this supposed behavior where it took out these agreements. And it was very taken out of context.
Okay.
So now it's like, okay, I already thought the complaints were kind of strange. Like, out of all the sexual harassment stories you hear at a workplace, would you have thought, oh, this man keeps walking into my office while I'm pumping? Like, that's so specific, right? Like, that's not something, I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. So that was the other one. What are another one. This I didn't hear. So he apparently continuously talks about how he likes to kiss with his wife, or do you ever watch porn? Like, I guess they have, I don't know how much sex scenes are involved in this movie, but and apparently her claim is that he wanted to add more, and that during one of the intimacy scenes, like, he kissed a little too long. And she didn't get an intimacy coordinator, but he refuted that with, hey, he showed screenshots of when can we meet the intimacy coordinator together. So blatant lie, right? Yeah. Anyways, there's a lot of going back and forth, but he pulled out receipts, screenshots, and he even redacted her screenshots by showing how the ones she presented in her complaint were missing. Like, literally took out certain parts to only
that's
show.
really bold to do.
I know.
And release that to
I'm shocked
the public
that she thinks
when he had receipts too.
Right.
What does she think she was doing?
I think that
it's whoever gets to the public first.
That's true. And I think, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, with all the money and power she has, not only of herself, but with Ryan Reynolds backing, I think that she really thought she could scare him into silence. And with all the cast siding with her, I think she told them her version of discomfort, and he didn't get a word in. And it's all coming out. The fact he's come out with more receipts that show that Blake Lively wanted complete control of this movie. A movie that he had bought rights to before she ever came into this.
Yeah.
But she also wanted executive producer credit. And when she didn't get that, because there's certain criteria that has to be met to get that credit. So Justin Baldoni and his team said no, put a firm no, because you have to have been involved in this list of ways in which you were not. So this ruins the integrity of how these things are operated. So we cannot do that for you. And she basically replied with that, well, then basically, like, you've burned our bridges. It will be, we have no good faith in each other going forward now, is kind of what she said. And it came after that. So I think it's a retaliatory. Now, people criticize me because I made some TikToks, like, saying I never believed her. And white women came at me with rage, like, how dare, this is why women are not believed, that whole, like, we believe all women, da-da-da-da. Unpopular.
It can't be believed no matter what type. I mean, why is it an absolute? Like, it's such an either or. Right? And you can't think critically about different or each situation or each conflict. Also, I do not find Blake Lively in the category of we believe all women. She's not a typical woman. She is a white woman in Hollywood with A-list power on her own right, backed by one of the most powerful white men
in Hollywood with all the agency and privilege that comes with it. So I don't...
They have everything at their disposal.
Yeah. In comparison, I think Justin Baldoni is almost like a small fish.
Yeah, not as big a name.
Yeah, we didn't know him. No. Like before this, did we know him by name?
Jane the Virgin. Yeah, that's probably the only thing that I know him
exactly.
from.
I know him as the good-looking guy that was in Jane the Virgin.
Yeah.
Before this blew up, I didn't know him by name. So I think I got attacked by women that were like, okay. And I did correct myself. I said, I think that what Blake Lively finds herself in is karma. I think that all this bad press she's getting, with over the years of her bad behavior, it has accumulated to a point that has exploded in her face. And people were like, oh my God, are you saying that sexual harassment in the workplace is karma now? Like, is that what we're... And I was just like, I had originally privated that video. I made that video saying, this doesn't add up for me. These complaints don't even... Before Justin Baldoni came out with his lawsuit, it was just Blake Lively's complaint, right? A list of offenses that supposedly Baldoni had against her. I looked through those, I read through them, listened to everybody's take on them, and I said, these list of offenses, first of all, I just feel like it was a case of where someone... Now, and he's been known to be described as a passionate person who's overly enthusiastic. So I saw it as like, did he pop into her trailer excited because she said, come on over? Like before I even read his rebuttal, I thought that. Because these sound like very specific scenarios where it had more to it. So I made that video and dropped it. And that was before the Baldoni suit came out. And white women were enraged by me, Jane.
Ooh,
they were ready to come for my head. They're like, oh, you don't believe your hate for white people
is blinding you.
Yeah, it's blinding me from supporting women. So I privated that video. And I came up with the follow-up video that said, listen, I privated that video not because white women were angry with me, but because if they keep repeating, Ellen is saying sexual harassment is karma, that concept alone, anybody saying, oh, that's what you get, it's your karma, that's harmful to women. So I came out of video, I was like, listen, I privated that video only because I don't want this short-circuited version by white women of what I said, putting it out there that sexual harassment in the workplace can be seen as karma. That is not what I said. But the idea that can get repeated, I'm going to private my other video. But I fucking didn't delete it because I was like, I feel like I'm fucking right. But I'm not going to push on it now.
Yeah.
And out comes more context. And I just want to say, I said what I said because I unprivated that video. I was like, bitch, I knew what I was talking about.
So where do things stand now?
Now they're going to go to war. Because
now it's on. It's
Blake
fully
Lively
on.
has come back with an actual lawsuit that said, let's go to court, bitch. And Justin Baldoni's ready. She's ready. They all want to go to fucking court.
Guns blazing.
Yeah.
They're going to...
But it's with just the receipts both sides have put out, Baldoni's makes way more sense. And he's not leaving details out. So I don't know what she's thinking.
In the court of public opinion, do you think the needle has moved in...
Yes. I'm already getting apologies. Of people
Justin's
that are like,
favor again.
Yeah, they're like,
again.
oh,
yeah.
And now more people are like, I thought exactly what you thought, but I was afraid to say it because of all these Blake Lively white women fanatics. I also think this may be unpopular opinion, and I may get attacked for it, but I don't believe in all women. And like you said, there's nuance. In this country, historically, there's been so many cases that white women have crucified, particularly black men.
Yes.
Emmett Till is just one.
Front of mind.
Yeah.
And just
you just
one.
say the name
Yeah. But,
and you know.
Right.
In a country where...
Because they've had the power.
It's... Exactly. So women with power, in my opinion, is not a typical woman in the patriarchal, like, oppression that we see ourselves in.
They love to put themselves...
They like to weaponize their victimhood.
That Venn diagram, right? Like, we are the same.
Yes. And that's where...
Because we are women.
Right.
And, I mean, we know... if you're not a white woman, you know, it is
we're not the same. There's a road to intersectionality that white women love to just hop over. And I think that crossroad is becoming blatantly clear because even though Baldoni is technically a white man, he doesn't come across as he looks like a brown man and not a typical Hollywood main character.
He's not the exactly. He is not the Ryan Reynolds.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that also has an undertone.
I think it does. It's also very reflective of what kind of world we're living in now, because it's very much it's more than just reputation for Blake.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's tied to the sales of her products.
Yeah.
And the reputation drives that. So she has, the stakes are so high for her. And the public are coming, when they were coming to her defense. And it's like, why do people care so much? These people do not care about.
I'm shocked that I'm like, she's not you. She's not everyday woman. You know, I'm so surprised at the relatability that people find in these celebrities that they're not living your life.
But they will manipulate. They will manipulate that to constantly say that because it benefits them to be seen as one of the masses.
I'm actually, I was kind of grossed out by it. I kind of was like, I don't give a fuck about this movie. I still have not watched the movie.
Totally grossed out by it. And I will not be watching the movie now.
Yeah, I have no plans to watch the movie. You know that the movie poster, she actually pushed Justin Baldoni out of the movie. She only wanted her face.
It's just her.
Yeah, and that's because she wanted it that way.
I have no idea. Maybe I can get an inkling from the title. I mean, especially if you're familiar with the book of what it's about. But
you have no idea what it's about.
No, I do now. But I mean, from the poster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's just her face. It's just her face and hair. And it's so funny. It ends with us. Like, they're going to war that's going to end both of them.
Right.
Because even if this is favorable for Justin, it's taken such a toll on his image as well. There's no winners here.
What do you think about, because the one thing that sticks out to me in this was the accusation or the allegations that Justin was so preoccupied with Blake Lively's weight.
Okay.
Right? And she had just had a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you hear what the rebuttal of that was?
No.
So he has back issues. And there's a scene where he has to lift her up.
Yes, I did hear that.
Yeah. And so he went to talk to, how do we get through the scene without me hurting my back? And he is in our age zone. That is something I worry about, Jade. I worry about how to get out of my bed.
And she took personal offense.
Yes.
Because she thought that was weight shaming her.
Yes.
Body shaming her.
But don't you also think that is such, like, narcissistic behavior? In terms of...
Yeah. I mean, she's not a small woman, and he's not, like, a big
He's not
guy.
A buff-looking dude. Okay, and you and I, we talk about our weight all the time.
I wouldn't want Ben lifting me up. And he's a lot taller than me.
Definitely break his back lifting me. Well, did I ever tell you one time, one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened in my life? We were taking ballroom dance classes. and we had a finale showcase. He dropped me. Did I tell you this?
No.
So we had a finale. He twirls me around and he dips me. And he's supposed to hold the dip pose. And I'm like this. And I can feel his knees shaking. And I'm like, and then I could feel it buckle. And we went flat on the floor. Both of us. I was humiliated, Jane. Oh. I would have fucking wanted to know if he could handle my weight or not.
He was just as
he was like, I was like, God. I ran off. I ducked my face. This is so embarrassing. It's so fucking embarrassing. I was so red with the whole class watching. Oh my God, horrified. So I would have loved for Adonis to talk to the dance instructors and say, do you really think I could hold this pose? Because Ellen's weight. I don't want to drop her like that. So I think it's a very valid thing that he did to ask. But also, Ryan Reynolds berated him publicly in a small setting where there were witnesses to him getting a full-on, like, lecture from Ryan Reynolds to Justin Baldoni, and there the insider comment that said, I have never seen anything like this in the industry that I've been in for over 40 years.
Wow.
It was humiliating to even be in that room. So, yeah. Now at this point,
I have misgivings about people who have these like A-list celebrities who just get all the positive comments like, oh, I love them. I just love them so much and they can do no wrong.
Right.
Because people don't see the nuance.
And when you're fed that constantly.
Right. And now I'm seeing that, you know,
I mean, I even saw it in our little influencer circle, right? When someone starts getting tons of followers that love them so much, I'm telling you, their brain chemistry changes and they lose the sense of like, thank God. And I've told you this, it's incredible to me that you are still the same Jane, no matter how many followers you've gotten.
You have to remove yourself from that because it's so easy to get sucked in.
How did you do that?
Just like my mental health.
Like, do you say, I mean, I can honestly see how it can go to people's head. There have been times where I'm like, oh, this is not real. Like people see a side of you on the internet and they want that so badly to be you. Like they're not getting, like they don't know me for real.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the kindness. But I'm like, okay, I can't. I think for me, having the account banned, like taken away, I was like, oh, this could all be gone in a day.
Sure.
Like that made me really go, this is nothing to rely on.
And it could be all taken. We'll have to see. Today is January 3rd. We'll have to see in a couple of weeks.
It's counting down.
Yes.
But how did you do it, Jane? Because, I mean, I asked you this all the time.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think there was a period where it was novel and thrilling to see my videos go super viral.
Yeah.
Because it's not something
Jane, just the other day I saw your Con Air video. I'm like, I know her. She's my friend.
I mean, well, those are ads that they, you know, pay.
I know, but it's still so cool.
I mean, I think so. That's one is like it's not something that I ever craved, and I had experienced like the worst of the worst behavior online when I used to work in news and I was a semi-public figure. And I was like, people are nasty because they hide behind the keyboard and they're faceless. So
I think that's
absolutely
You
vile.
already experienced.
So I already...
And you experienced the worst.
Experienced that. And then so I didn't put much weight on, but it still stung and was still so hurtful whenever there was a troll comment or a hateful comment or misunderstanding. So I had to remind myself, as meaningless as that is, the flip side, the praise, the affirmation is just as meaningless because it costs them nothing. Wow. It costs these people nothing to form opinions, to share, post, whatever. Nothing. And I notice that in my behavior, I am mostly like, I will comment on my friends' content or people that I know specifically.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really engage.
Wow.
Because it's so like, it's fleeting.
Yeah.
Right? And the most I'll do is like, I'll save videos or content for stuff that I want to reference later and stuff. But I think I think it's my experience and my age, kind of like maturity level, all of that worked in my favor.
Yes.
Because I think if I was a little bit older than me, it would have been shocking. Like people are so honest online. You know what I mean?
You're right.
You wouldn't say these things to their face.
Right.
And then if I was younger, I wouldn't have had that.
Your brain wouldn't have been developed enough to handle this.
It would have like killed me.
Yeah.
And it does, like literally.
Yeah.
In too many cases, you know?
It's...
And so even with like this TikTok ban or whatever, I don't buy into the social media is good or bad or exposing your kids.
It's not
like
your
just
life.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
It's like there is like complexity and nuance in everything. The only constant is change.
Yes.
And if it's not TikTok right now, it's going to be something else in 5 years. Will I be part of that and take it up? I don't know. I think for us, like, it was that perfect storm of pandemic and we needed some kind of like distraction, and so that's how we found it. It's not something we were
chasing.
No, it wasn't.
It's something we kind of accidentally fell into.
Yeah.
And both of us, I think, because it's not something we chased after, we're not as attached.
Right. And I think what I realized is that it's so fleeting.
It's so fleeting.
Fleeting. You might have and that's kind of my mindset is I'll do this. Like, for example, like working with brands. I'm like, I'll do it as long as it's accessible to me.
Right.
But for example, my manager's like, Jane, you need to diversify your content. You need to, let's build up. And I'm like, why? At first I felt like a little bit of disappointment because I'm like, oh no, I guess I might lose this deal if something happens to TikTok. But on the flip side, I'm like, why? Like, this was never the goal for me. This was never like my
your
purpose.
Dream,
and if I have to force it and it feels like work, then I can just walk away.
We did it for fun.
Yeah. And I fully recognize that there are content creators who don't have this privilege.
I know.
It was truly life-changing.
But it makes us appreciate even more because we are not, this is not our moneymaker, our bill payer. Like, but yes, we recognize a privilege, but we also cherish, like, our priorities are our time with our kids, our time with our husbands, our time with, you and I, at times, many times, our biggest, like, thing that weighs us down is like, are we doing the right thing? Are we doing right by our kids?
Right.
That's where most of our energy goes.
Exactly.
Everything else is sort of like extra, like icing on the cake if we do.
Yeah.
But with this impending TikTok thing hanging, I mean, what are they doing? Like talking points on January 9th? It's coming up, right? Honestly, I took some, with the holidays and stuff, I slowed down a lot in creating and also going live and all that stuff. And I have to say, like, I'm okay with that too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we have real lives.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm so glad we didn't have this shit when I was young.
Thank God, right?
I don't know if I...
I'm so glad we didn't have FaceTime when I was in high school.
Oh, my God. I don't even FaceTime now. When people do it now, I'm surprised. I'm like, you want to see my face?
The first time that I got a laptop and you could, it was a MacBook and you can do the chat.
Yeah.
iChat, and there's a video feature.
Oof.
I could post it note on my camera because I'm like, I can talk to you, like you can talk to me, but you will not see my face.
We
like
can
that is
hear each other's
weird.
voice. I pick up a lot.
Yeah, like we can have a phone call like this.
Yeah.
But like video and you can see me in real time. No, that is way too intimate. And you know, it was like a ramping up, right? But you know, I think what's happening in our culture is that this is the first time that people can think critically about celebrities. Like you're getting another, like they also have to be influencers now.
Yes.
And they have to influence public opinion, and it's not just their work that speaks to that.
And the celebrity them, like the way it used to be was like almost like they're these super beings
they're
out
stars.
there.
They're like inaccessible.
Not attainable.
Untouchable. And you see them in movies or their work. And to have a crush on a certain celebrity is to have a crush on like that character, like because you're such a fan of that movie or this work that they did.
Yeah.
But now, so they have access to all the channels that the public has,
right?
You know, and everyone's kind of in that space, and it's like it's a really weird equalizer, and also very toxic, and we have to become like even more critical.
You know what
in how we think about things and people.
Because you said crush, I heard a quote like someone was discussing, and it like completely blew their minds. Your crush is just lack of information.
It's like your t-shirt.
My t-shirt.
I liked you better when I knew you less. Yeah.
Damn, you're right.
No, it's so true though.
It is. I liked you better when I knew you less. Oh my God. I need to send those out to all the people. Gift from me to you.
It is though. It's like an infatuation. It's not based in reality.
Yeah.
You know?
I was grossed out about this whole case. But now I think I'm going to get the popcorn and
just watch it play
tune in
out
on the trial.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think so.
Yeah. Now at this point,
it's not.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's see all the shit, all the little crannies now we're here.
I also read this, you know, like this random article that what does it say about you when you're so invested or interested in celebrity gossip? It means you're like smarter. I immediately thought of you because you're always filling me in on the celebrity gossip, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to have to send me this.
I know. I'm
I did not think that's where you were going to go. I was like, I thought you were going to be like, this reveals that you're the shittiest person.
No, consider, to all of our listeners, consider this an education.
Yes. You know? and you're getting smarter with us.
Yes, by
the more
minute.
you listen. Tell your friends about us. It starts with us.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's a wrap.